So Dan, the big catalyst for the company in the past 18 months has been that new console, the Switch. You are a proud Switch owner. What's the special sauce here?
So it's important to say that while the Nintendo brand was in a strong position before the Switch, they own a lot of great IP, tons of games you've heard of, characters you know. They were struggling in the console business. They had the Wii, which was a mega hit. When that cycle died off, the Wii U was, let's just say, not a mega hit.
Yes.
The Switch was really a home run in that it's something totally different. It is a video game console in that you can plug it into your television and play video games on your television console. It is also a tablet portable device. You can carry it like I'm holding it now and play it with the controllers on the sides. You can prop it up and take the controllers off and use it as like a mini television. So it sort of gives families a device that they can all play around the living room television. That's sort of why I bought it. And while they're traveling, it's an alternative thing for the kids to do. It doesn't need to be internet connected for the vast majority of gameplay. So you don't run into the kid playing on his iPad and then it loses the connection and you can't play. So it's a very different take. And it's also, they did not go for it's the highest resolution. It's 1,000,000 pixels. It's 4K. It's just a good game experience. So they were able to keep the price down comparative.
And for Nintendo, the management philosophy has always been about that fun, unique entertainment experience. I want to talk a little bit though about just kind of the financial impact that the Switch has had. So I
can't the company or on me personally, because it's cost me quite a bit of money
in the games, I'm sure. But the success, I can't overstate that the success of the Switch has really helped to breathe new life into Nintendo's business. So if you look at the financials, Nintendo reports their results in Japanese yen, which we converted to dollars. So there might be some small differences in our numbers if you guys calculate something on your own, depending on the conversion rate you use. But overall, revenue declined for 8 years straight, starting in 2010. And during that weak period, as you mentioned, Nintendo had released the very ill-fated Wii U. Investors pretty much watched as the top line went from a peak of $16.4 billion to $4.6 billion. So a huge decline. And in that lead up period to the Switch, fiscal 2017, for example, which ended in March of that year, revenue was down 3%. That was, of course, though, the month the Switch made its debut. So March 2017, Switch makes its release. The company is definitely on a weak streak. Flash forward 1 year later, March 2018. So it's fiscal 2018 results. That year saw revenue more than double to $10 billion, thanks to all the momentum from the blowout sales of this new console. And as of June 30th, Nintendo has sold almost 20 million units of the Switch. It took less than 10 months for the Switch to outpace the lifetime sales of the Wii U. So that's how bad the Wii U was and how strong the Switch has been.
The Switch filled a market niche. You go back to the Wii. Unless you only had young kids, very few people only had a Wii. The Wii was like the secondary gaming device in the house, the one that mom and dad played with as well. The Wii U didn't really fit that niche. It was a little too expensive. The Switch was just a very logical package. And the biggest problem, those numbers are actually hurt by the fact that they couldn't make them as fast as they were selling them.
Yes, they were
very difficult to get in the first 4 or 5 months it was out.
That's also because these things were absolutely flying off the shelves. And I think overall, the approach that management has taken to the Switch and some other small but really fast growing parts of the business, like digital, like mobile, that to me is right now is the most compelling part of the Nintendo investment story right now. So we go back to Matt's mailbag question. He cited specifically the strong company brand, their reputation for innovation, very valuable intellectual property, mobile apps, esports potential. These are all tailwinds and kind of opportunities for Nintendo. And I think he's really on point with this list. If you read the letter to shareholders from company president Shuntaro Furukawa, he lays out some of the company's goals and strategies going forward in the 2018 annual report. So these include the desire to, number one, expand the digital business, including Nintendo Switch Online, which we'll talk about. Number two, leverage the company's IP in the massive installed base of smart devices around the world. And three, make Nintendo characters available for theme parks, film, and other merchandise. Exactly some of the things that Matt highlighted. And so we'll talk about each of these efforts, but in the context of the Switch, it's good to see essentially management learn from the mistake that they made with the Wii U. And a big part of that, the big failure I think there, was to draw interest from some third-party developers, any really, which really limited the library of titles available for that console. And so by opening up the Switch platform to all these other developers, this deeper library of third-party titles, which includes sometimes some more intense like action games, for example, that Nintendo doesn't produce themselves.
It also includes, and this is I think a very smart play, some inexpensive retro titles. So if you have an Xbox One, maybe you can buy like a compilation that has a bunch of old games, but you can't just be like, I want Tekken 2 and it's $4.99 in the game store. That's how it works on the Switch. There's all sorts of price points you can hit, and some of it is just they ported over cool other old titles that maybe were out of print.
Yeah, and all this serves to expand the Switch's target market, and even the more dedicated adult gamers, people who are usually will turn more to the PlayStation or the Xbox or PC games, for example, they have something to enjoy now in terms of titles available for the Switch. So the Nintendo reports the top-selling games for the Switch that it publishes specifically. So these are names like Super Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2, and of the 10 best-selling Nintendo titles together, they've already moved 48 million units as of the end of June 2018. So 18 months into its release, 87 million games sold for the Switch. That already puts it within reach of the lifetime game sales of the Wii U, which came out at about 102 million units. So again, you can see how quickly
they've also
it's
approached game releases really well. They handle them more like a movie coming out. So it's not a crowded schedule. And when something like Mario Kart came out, you knew it was coming and there was a heavy pre-order push. So they've been very smart about, they have all this intellectual property, but there isn't a new Mario Kart every year. There isn't a new Super Mario Brothers every year. They sort of space these things out to meet consumer demand. And really, like, I would say those top games you talked about, I bet most Switch owners own like 80 or 90% of the top titles.
Yep.